Phoenix here, match day 11 preview, predictions, nay, spoilers, as always, for most of the big matches. The games, as you should know by now, that we don't cover here and that we don't put in through the algorithm, we'll do live on stream. Obviously, final match day before the international break and the one coming after a Champions League. So in the algorithm, I always make a specific slight adjustment specifically for this match day because players will usually be feeling some kind of fatigue as well as having one eye on a break. And I use that, of course, in inverted commas. We'll go immediately into Saturday's matches where we have, and we begin with a very interesting fixture between Spurs and Manchester United. What makes this mega interesting is Spurs are terrible at home, Manchester United are terrible away. The rematch of the Europa League final. I have gotten, well, these are the projected lineups. Just to give you an idea immediately into my thought process. This is the combined 11 I've got for both teams. I've got Vicario in the net still ahead of Lemons. De Ligt, Romero, Van de Ven for me are untouchable. De Ligt has been fantastic this season. United have the edge in midfield. Of that I have no doubt. I've gone both Casemiro and Bruno. I've gone with Ahmad ahead of Pedro Porro, considering Pedro Porro's current form. I mean, you know, he's very up and down player. At the moment, he's very much down. I've gone Udogo on the left, who we're not sure he'll even start ahead of Spence. I personally prefer him to Spence, especially what he can give Spurs going forward. But then again, this is where it becomes interesting. So this is, funnily enough, for, in my opinion, should have been Manchester United's front three. Kudus is clear of Mbeumo, no doubt about that. But the other two, definitely Manchester United. I'm looking for a response this week, especially from both of these players, especially Sesko after the performance against Forest. Now, United have a clear advantage heading into this game, which is they didn't get to play midweek. But Spurs, of course, didn't waste that much energy in their 4-0 rout against Copenhagen. The spoiler has analyzed a Spurs 0, Manchester United 2 victory. Now, United should win this. But by all means, the algorithm has spat out a United win and it believes it will be comfortable and convincing. The issue, however, is it's still Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. You just never know what you're going to get with these guys. But by all the metrics, United have a lot more going forward. They should win the midfield battle. With Spurs, for me, as long as it's going to continue Bentancur, Palinha, it ain't going to be the most enjoyable game to watch. But United have that spark that should change this game in their favor via the likes of Cunha and Sesko. And I'm going with both of them to be on the score sheet to result in a 2-0 Manchester United win. Then we shift immediately to the Turin derby between Juventus and Torino. Torino, as you can see here, they're approaching this game in decent form, whereas Juventus, of course, have just been taken over, new manager in Spalletti over the last couple of games, which have gone pretty well for them. Here's the problem Juventus have immediately. Yildiz is off form. He's been off form. Like, not many are speaking about it, but after starting the season fantastically well, he's vanished over the last month. I mean, most of the matches he plays, even the ones where he got the goal and the penalty and whatnot, like he was atrocious in that game against Udinese, and it's continued to be a common theme. With Torino, they have goals in them, in particular via Simeone, who has been looking very good for them. And of course, they've got Aslani and Casadei in midfield, who you may recognize, former Inter players as well. So simply put, for me and Juventus, of course, Spalletti has been trying the Coop Minor centre-back experiment, and it has been working better, to be fair. But with Torino scoring 1, I don't see Juventus scoring 2. This, for me, will finish Juventus 1, Torino 1. If you want to play it safe, take the Torino plus 1.5. But I don't see Juventus winning this game. With Yildiz in this current form, they need a break. Juve is going to be a struggle of a game, and Torino will score, mark my words on that. Next up is, we go back to England. Sunderland versus Arsenal. I didn't particularly like what I seen from Sunderland against Everton, especially in the first half. The key for me is we know how Arsenal will line up. Of course, Kyok is not yet fully fit, so it'll be Merino playing up front. The question is Sunderland. Will they approach this game with a back five? Will they approach this game with a back four? I suspect it will be a back five, which will make, of course, for a more cagey game. I would personally prefer if they go back four. But either way, one thing is for certain. This will be the beginning of Arsenal's downfall. They're not going to lose this game, but they're not going to win it. It'll be Sunderland 1, Arsenal 1. Xhaka will send a statement, for sure. Arsenal, they've not played football, proper football since he left, if we're going to call it like it is. And these are the type of games where, for me, once the set pieces begin drying up, and it begins with this game, so once Arsenal are unable to score that first goal from a set piece, I'm going to be watching where it's going to be coming from and the struggles they're going to have to go through. And Sunderland will take the lead. That will stun Arsenal. And Arsenal will have enough just about to rescue a draw, but not enough to win the game. Arsenal will drop crucial points, especially considering Liverpool City play on Sunday. Next up will be the Parma versus Milan game that we analyzed and put through the algorithm. This one is, Parma have been in bad form in recent matches. Milan coming off a big win against Roma. There's still some questions for sure about Allegri's Milan, but they're going to be recovering players. Pulisic could be back. Yashari is back. Will it be enough to start ahead of Fofana? We'll see. But Milan, again, look pretty solid defensively. They had a nightmare start against Roma in the first 30 minutes, but then they settled well into the game. This is the type of game Allegri loves the most. If in order to cause Allegri's team problems, you have to go at them a little bit. And Parma, I don't expect them to do that. They're a solid team, but they'll struggle and fall short in this game. It'll be Parma 1, Milan 2 to take the 3 points. Then, of course, we have the Chelsea versus Wolves game late in the evening. And notoriously, Chelsea have been the team that have caused me problems. When I say they'll win, they won't. When I say they won't win, they do. The one I like the most in this is Wolves plus 1.5. For me, that's an absolute steal. There is no chance Chelsea are going to be running riot over Wolves. They'll win the game, but not more than one. I've got Chelsea 1, Wolves 0. Even though it's projected that Wolves will try to make a game of this, according to this lineup, if they start with that front three. But at the moment, of course, managerless Wolves, and I don't expect them to pick up any points, unfortunately, for them. But they'll give Chelsea a very, very tough game. And Chelsea simply don't have the quality at the moment to really blitz anybody. So it'll be 1-0 Chelsea, take the Wolves plus 1.5. Then we head straight to Super Sunday, where we have these will cover live, because I didn't put them through the algorithm. We begin with Rayo Vallecano versus Real Madrid. Rayo have played on Thursday, but they do rest a lot of their players for their conference match that they had here against Lech Poznan. Real Madrid, of course, coming off the defeat against Liverpool. Trent is projected to be back in the starting 11, which probably means Valverde will start on the right. But we'll see. That's the projected lineup. I don't see Real Madrid winning this game. Rayo are a nightmare team to go against, especially away from home. They're going to take the game to Madrid, and they'll cause them problems. I expect goals in this game. I've gone with Rayo Vallecano 2, Real Madrid 2. I didn't like what I seen whatsoever from Dean Huijsen against Liverpool. And of course, Trent is not an easy game for him to get chucked back into the team, if indeed he will. But Rayo, they play football. You know, they're a team that they're not going to be scared or faced by the occasion. Real Madrid don't have much, or haven't had much great success against Rayo in recent matches, and I expect that to continue. Real Madrid will drop points. If you want to play it safe again, take the Rayo plus 1.5. Then the next game is, of course, the big one between Manchester City and Liverpool. These are the projected lineups for the two teams. Manchester City on fire at the moment. I love watching them play football. They've got something really good going on. Liverpool sort of back to stabilizing the team, let's put it this way. But here's my one issue. Well, before we get into the game, I'll show you my combined 11 to give you an idea. I went Donnarumma in goal, no debates there. I've got Nunes and O'Reilly. Bradley's coming off one good game. No, definitely not enough to get ahead of Nunes. Van Dijk and Gvardiol, what a partnership they'd make. I've gone for the two Liverpool midfielders. Even though Nico Gonzalez has been fantastic, I could hear him going ahead of McAllister. I really liked McAllister against Real Madrid, so I'm picking him ahead of Nico in this. And of course, Tijani's out of form. Now, the big question here is Cherki or Salah. And I thought long and hard about this because when it comes to picking combined 11s, you also, of course, need to factor general ability, but also right here, right now. And I do believe on Sunday, if you're a manager, you have to pick Cherki ahead of Salah. Now, there's a question mark whether Cherki even starts for City, but I expect him to. I mean, he's having an immediate impact whenever he's on the pitch. I do think he's a big game player, and it would be a bit crazy not to start him. And if he starts, I'm taking him ahead of Salah. Foden, of course, in fantastic form. I've then gone with Wirtz on the left ahead of Doku. Doku is in better form than Wirtz, but I do think Wirtz will have a decent game on Sunday. And of course, up front, there is no debates whatsoever, as much as I love Ekitike. Now, that, to me, means where the game will be won and lost. Now, watch out if Slot tries a similar approach to what he done at the Etihad last season. I don't expect him to, but he could go with a double false nine. He could do very Soboslai double false nine if he wants. But benching Ekitike would be crazy and go Gakpo left, Salah right. That can happen because he had tremendous success with that against City where he nullified them. And Liverpool defended fantastically well. But here's the thing for me where the game will be won and lost. I keep hearing Liverpool are back and Liverpool are back. But Aston Villa did not, like I told you, the reason Liverpool would win, because Villa did not have a go at their fullbacks. Real Madrid, they played like cowards. Manchester City will go at Liverpool. There's no doubt about that. And you're like, well, that will leave space for Liverpool to exploit, potentially. But I'm not buying into, like, Doku Bradley, for me, will be a mismatch. They ain't going to be like Vinicius scared and diving all over the pitch. Doku will run at you. He'll cause Bradley plenty of problems. And the same thing will happen at the other end against with Cherki versus Robertson. I'm not, obviously Robertson are much better than Kerkes, but this ain't the same Robertson as a few seasons ago. So with that in mind, I'm struggling. I think it'll be a cagey game. I do expect Slot to set Liverpool up to first and foremost be solid and just try and outrun City. So it'll be a cagey game. But Manchester City, for me, going forward, they'll have way too much for Liverpool. I can't see Liverpool getting anything from this game. I've gone with Manchester City 2, Liverpool 1. Then I analyzed the Inter versus Lazio game. And of course, Inter, I've not been happy with what I've seen in the last couple of games. I'll say that immediately. Lazio, they're on a bit of a solid streak. They're not conceding many goals. And Inter strikers at the moment are out of form. Thuram is back, but he won't be enough to start the game. It'll be Boni and Lautaro, it looks like. Dumfries, I've been questioning for some time now. I think he's way off form. Barella is way off form. And then the question is, of course, who starts at the back? I hope it's Bissek ahead of Acerbi and we can play that higher line again. This was the fixture that cost Inter the title last season, that little rat Pedro. Let's not even get into him. It's similar to my other games. I'll take the Lazio plus 1.5. I think that's very disrespectful. Lazio, Sarri's too smart to get bliss. Lazio will stay in the game. I expect Inter again to just about nick it. It'll be a very cagey game. Inter 1, Lazio 0. Inter just about get the 3 points. And then last but not least is the Celta Vigo Barcelona game. I know there's some other big games. Lyon PSG will be covering that live Just haven't been able to put that through the algorithm. Celta Vigo versus Barcelona. Celta Vigo, of course, coming off a really good streak, really. They've only lost a couple of La Liga games. This game had plenty of goals last season when when these two teams met in both fixtures, and I expect the same to continue. Barca coming off obviously a 3-3 draw against Bruges. Now, have a look at that front three for Celta Vigo. Brian Zaragoza notoriously has terrorized Koundé in the past. Now, Koundé is way off form at the moment. You got Borja Iglesias, who has terrorized Barca. Jutgla has even terrorized Barcelona in the past. So, this will be a funny game for Barca. Let's put it that way. They'll have some flashbacks. Now, the big news coming is apparently Joan Garcia is back training with the squad. So there's a good chance he could start in this game, and Barca sure need him. Barcelona will find a way to win this football match. It ain't going to be easy. I'm expecting plenty of goals. I go Celta 2, Barca 3. But Lamine Yamal is almost back to his very best. He'll cause Celta plenty of problems. And like I said, I'm expecting goals galore. If you want to go over 3.5, feel free to do so. But I do believe Barcelona will emerge victorious to close the gap on Real Madrid and finish off a spectacular weekend. That's it from the Phoenix. Let's make some chiching bibbling in the final match day before the international break. And I'll catch you guys, as always, in the streams, beginning with the Spurs Manchester United early kickoff. Phoenix out.